We're live.
We're live. We
How we
are
doing?
live. We thought we were done with live streams for the season, Kingdo, but we're not.
It
How
all
you doing,
kicked
my
off a
mate?
little bit, didn't it? Championship Speedway, British Speedway. It's alive. It's kicking.
Mate, I don't know how we've logged in and I've got 38 people watching from the moment we've logged in. Of
You
course,
guys
it's
are
going to happen.
sensational. You guys are sensational.
Mike. Right. Hello to everybody who's here. If you're watching, numbers are going through the roof already. If you've got any questions for Vinny, remember, he's just turned 18. So be nice. Bullying's not cool. Ask him stuff.
100%.
Ask him tough questions. We spoke to him already. That's all good. But bullying isn't cool. So, Kingdo, where are we going to start tonight, mate? Where are we going to start?
I want to say quick hello to some people in the chat because Harry, Mystic Tonks, and Callum Broad, Terry Simpson, and Tony Reed all came in before the stream even started. So you guys were fantastic saying hello. Thank you very much for your comments. We have seen some questions already in the chat. We will get to them at some point throughout the show, so please do not worry. Another thing as well, there are a lot of you in tonight, like legitimately the most we've ever seen ever, and we're a minute in. If we don't see your question, type them a couple times, don't spam. But if you want to put them in a couple times, feel free. We've got a few more people coming in now as well. It's still exciting. So
yeah, just take it easy. Don't spam it over and over again. But if you've got questions, stick it in. Kingdo, I'm going to be directing sort of the way it goes. Kingdo's we doing more of looking through the comments, picking out the good ones, and we will put them into Vinny himself. Vinny is watching live in the green room now, but but we'll bring him on in a second. Well, to start with, Wednesday. I know there's a lot of people here that were here Wednesday. There's a lot of people here that were watching Wednesday. And may I just say, first of all, before anyone thinks I've got Poole tinted glasses on, the Oxford fans were incredible Wednesday. The support Oxford brought along, even though it got a little bit spicy, we know Vinny can take it. It got a little bit spicy at times, but that crowd brought the atmosphere. The atmosphere at Poole Stadium, I would say, Kingdo, is probably the best I've seen in 25 years of going to Poole Speedway. What do you reckon?
100%. Like the way I word it, mate.
Oh, slow down, mate. Slow down.
The way I word it, mate, is just people. It felt like a grand final. Not saying no disrespect to the Premiership one because that crowd was also amazing. I mean, looking at British Speedway in general, our last two grand finals, the night at Leicester and this, but like the atmosphere was there. And I know people always say Speedway doesn't need a bit of needle, mate, but watching it at home, it sounded great. Like, you could hear you could almost hear the floor move with how much excitement there was at Wimbledon Road. So
I was there, and I'll tell you something. Yeah. The atmosphere was incredible. I've never seen anything like it at Speedway before in League Speedway. The tensions, and when I use the words like hatred and dislike and stuff, it is only pantomime. It's one of those things where, as Poole fans and Oxford fans, there was horrendous stuff going towards each other, shouting, chanting, and then afterwards you can meet them in the bar and have a beer, and it was great. That's the beauty of Speedway. It's not like football where you have to be segregated. It was just perfect. Great atmosphere, and anybody who was there will know it was amazing. And if you weren't there, we got to do it all over again. We got to do it all over again this week, Wednesday and Thursday. We have to do it all over again for the KO Cup final. And I'll tell you something, the numbers through the gate for the KO Cup final, because of the drama and the controversy, will be record breaking. They're going to be brilliant. Sandy Lane is going to be packed to the hills. So is Wimborne Road. I know somebody in our green room who can't wait for that. So, So it's been great. One thing I want to say before we go any further, because I know there's going to be Oxford fans in here, there's going to be Poole fans in here. Be respectful. It is Speedway. We will love it. But referees' decisions, whether you're a home or an away fan, and everybody else should agree with me on this. Sometimes as a home fan, referees' decisions, you can love them because they're right. Sometimes you can love a referee's decision because it's wrong. We've all been through that. Every single Speedway fan has been through that. One thing that is certainly wrong is bullying. So if anyone wants to jump on here and be insultive, personal, unkind, nasty, threatening, this isn't a place for you. This is Raw Speedway. Me and King do this all the time. It's for everybody to enjoy. We do watch parties, so you can come in and have a chat with people if you're on your own. We have a few elderly people that join in here as well, just because they're on their own watching Speedway. It's a nice, safe place. We love it. We love the banter, but please just show a little bit of respect, especially as our guest tonight has only recently turned 18. He's only just a few weeks out of not being a child. So
yes.
let's be
And just
fair.
a quick one on the referees' decisions. I mean, you talk around all sport. You take any decision you can get as a sports fan, right? Like in football, if you get a penalty that is quite soft or whatever, you don't end up, taking it out on anyone in the same way. And especially, what goes on in Speedway. Every team gets a decision that doesn't go their way, or you made things incorrect throughout the season. So it always comes around. That's just sport.
It does. So we are now going to introduce our guest. Usually when we start these things, we've had 20 or 30 people joining from the start, and we peaked up at as far as 50. Right now, as an early, we are a channel in its infancy. There's 140 people waiting for this man. So everybody, as positive as you can, love him or loathe him, the pantomime villain or the pantomime hero, everybody in the chat, please welcome to the stage, Pirate Prince, Vinnie Foord. How's it going, Vinnie?
Very good, thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, really, really good, mate. Really good. So we'll just bring you on, let some comments come in. Kingo, take them nice and slow because they're firing in, but obviously put them on the screen nice and slow so they get a bit of airtime. How you feeling, mate?
Yeah, not too bad. I mean, obviously after a crash, you're always a little bit sore, but yeah, I'm feeling good and ready for the next meetings.
Have you got any injuries from the crash, or I know we spoke to you briefly off screen?
Yeah, I've got a bit of a graze on my eye. Other than that, I've not really got a lot of injuries, so it's more damage to the bikes.
Considering the speed you went in, mate, I tell you something, you're a very, very lucky boy. Very, very lucky boy. So we're going to start. We usually try and do these things in chronological order. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with you from the start. We know Pirate Cast have gone over some things with you before. We're not going to cross over with what they've asked you. We're going to try and be different and bring it all to what they've missed and what's happened this week. So first of all, where did it start, mate? How did you get into Speedway? What are your earliest Speedway memories, favourite riders, etc.? How did you get on a bike? Where did it all start, mate? You tell us. The floor's yours.
It was sort of, I live pretty close to Arlington Stadium. Like, if you don't know Arlington, it's Eastbourne Speedway. So I live pretty close to there. Well, literally a stone throw away from there. So I just used to go over with my dad. I think I was about 18 months old. My great grandparents used to go and stuff like that. But yeah, I used to go over there with my dad, watch, and then we went over to a practice day one day, and then he brought me a motocross bike. And I was riding a motocross bike, obviously, with dad helping me from the age of 18 months old. Just through a field and sort of thing. And then, I got onto a speedway bike when I was 5 and haven't looked back since.
Mate, that's sick. What's your earliest memory of Speedway? Do you remember like certain riders or certain meeting or anything like that?
I'd probably my first meeting, I'd say. That was over at Lid. I had a few even then I had a few crashes and but I managed to get third. I was the youngest rider in the lineup. I was 7 racing like 15-year-old boys and stuff like that. So when I was pretty young and I managed to come third place.
I'm talking of you as a kid, as a junior. I actually saw a photo of you with my mate Taylor Lanning the other day at Cardiff. What's that about? Did you ride Cardiff or?
When I was a bit younger, I'm not sure if they still do it, but when I was younger, they used to do a Speedway a Cardiff like GP Academy Day.
Right.
So we'd do it from the Friday. We'd go through like nutrition and sponsorship. We'd do interviews with like Calvin Tatum and the Monster Energy team as well and stuff like that. Like literally just a day about like media training and then we get a spin around the track as well. So it's pretty cool.
Mate, that's perfect. I know they still do it. I can't remember what track they had it at this year. I want to say Gorzov. Maybe Melilla. But I know they still do it. Really good for young riders, for encouraging young riders to come through and build their, social media platforms and things like that. Kingdo, should we go to the floor a minute? Any questions from the fans?
Yeah, there's been a few. I think there's been a few funny ones. So Tom Spencer asks, who is your favourite Leicester Lion cub?
Well, we'll have to go with Tom Spencer then, eh?
I
As he's
thought
asked the
that would
question.
be the way it is. We got some Perry Sports who's asked, what's been your biggest learning curve?
Probably it's all been a learning curve. I mean, every meeting you're learning sort of thing. I come in my first meeting of the year. I come in and went out and crashed in my first ride for Poole. So it's just a big jumping up to the championship league's definitely been my biggest learning curve.
Yeah, there's quite a big jump between there's quite a big jump between the National Development League and the Championship, isn't there? It is quite a big jump.
Yeah, it's a massive jump. All of the riders they are a lot harder, and obviously you have some of the National League boys coming in at reserves still. But yeah, it's harder racing. Even the reserves they want it more in the Championship,
especially as you are matched up with juniors coming through, and then all of a sudden you're in heats with the likes of Scott Nichols and all the heat leaders, as it were, from in the Championship, who are top riders from the league above as well. So it must be a big step.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Martin Peters has said Speedway needs stuff like this. Everyone talks, and let's be honest, there's more publicity than the Premiership finals.
I agree.
I mean, look. You can use the metric of that as how many people we got in here, for example. Like this happening has allowed us to do this, and our numbers are better than ever. So,
yeah, exactly. It was a pretty big meeting, and yeah, the crowds. It was massive atmosphere, so it was going to bring some fans in.
And Susan Pollard asks, yay, Vinny, we used to watch Controversy and Punch-Ups in the 80s and 90s. It certainly used to get people talking about Speedway. Glad you're okay and roll on the KO Cup.
Yeah, it should be. It should be a good
I don't know how you're still ready for that.
Yeah, well, I'm fully ready for it. I've got a little bit of work.
Wow, that's great. He's back.
Someone called me. Sorry. But yeah, I'm always ready for all of the meetings. It's a little bit of bike prep still, but yeah, I'm sure everything will be fine when it gets to
it. Jack Racing 7 says, how does Vinny feel about being called a trainee kamikaze pilot online? Are you unfazed or are you phased?
I mean, I'm completely unfazed. You've got to keep a level head sort of thing. It's one of the things people are going to call you names, and some people you either love a rider or you hate them. So it's one of them things. I mean, I would never hurt a rider purposely. It's tough racing, and feel like both crashes could have gone 50-50 either way, sort of thing. It's it's one of them things. I was friendly with both of the riders before the meeting, and yeah, I hope them all the best, sort of thing.
Mate, this is what we said. It's and this is, I know there's Oxford fans and stuff watching as well, but it can be 50-50. And if the decision goes your way, a lot of Poole fans have said that the Colleen decision could have gone against you. Do you know what I mean? It goes for you or against you. There's nothing we can do about the ref's decision. It's all conjecture. It's all opinions of what it should be. And if it's 50-50 as well, it's tough, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly that. Like I'm a speedway rider, not a speedway referee, so I don't make the decisions myself, and I just ride my bike and do what I love doing.
A couple more questions before we go back to the stuff I've got written down. Kingdom, do you with it?
Well, Darren's asking, how nervous were you before your first ride at Poole? And do you feel like you've improved since then? And he personally thinks you're amazing at Oxford last Saturday.
I mean, yeah, that was the biggest meeting of my life at that point, sort of thing. It was really nerve-wracking. I think you could tell I completely missed the starts the whole way through the meeting. But yeah, I was just a bag of nerves. I've settled in. I feel like I've settled in nicely now, and it's just every other meeting for me now, really. And yeah, I feel like I've improved. I mean, I've been working on my starts and and working on my racing as well, trying to get a bit of track craft. So yeah, I feel like I'm improving every meeting.
Completely agree, mate. So what we're going to go into now we're quarter of an hour in, is the first leg, the away leg at Oxford. You know, you come into Oxford, you come into Poole, you've replaced another rider. It must bring pressure straight away. But coming into the Oxford meeting, a track that you said before the meeting wasn't always your best, after 2 rides, 5 out of 6, I think you were the highest scoring pirate at that point. How was it going to the first leg of the final of the final at Oxford?
I mean, obviously you've got to be confident in the team. The boys, we've got a really strong team, sort of thing. It was tough for me coming to the track and remembering, like, I've never really liked Oxford track. I've never really got on with it, sort of thing. But it's one of them things you've got to go to places you're not a big fan of, and you just got to crack on with it. And that's what I've done. And I went out in my first race, won it, and then yeah, the second race, I I got a second with obviously Tom helping me out massively, but I got a second, so yeah, I was pretty buzzed with that. And then yeah, obviously in my third ride, I had the fall, but it wasn't down to a lack of trying. So yeah, it's one of them things. We'll crash.
Of course it is. I mean, it being a final, does it make it different when you're away? Does it make it more tense, or do you feel more pressure, or does it just go over your head and it's just another race meeting?
I think it definitely being the finals, it definitely makes you want it more. But in for like in sort of way, I was trying to look at it as it's just another meeting, so I didn't put any pressure on myself.
Yeah.
Like I didn't want to put too much pressure on myself. Then if I didn't do what I wanted to do, I didn't want to upset myself. And at the end of the day, I'm still a number 7. I'm there to score my average.
Yeah, and just turned 18 as well. So time's on your side, isn't it? Now, what I
Exactly.
would ask next was the difference. You know, you've been in the first leg of the final. You felt your first taste of Championship Final Speedway. What was the difference between being at Oxford and then walking across that centre green at Poole? Which we all know the numbers at Poole on Wednesday were phenomenal. The show was massive. Everything was set up to be a big meeting. How did it feel walking out of those gates, flag in hand, ready to go? What was going through your mind, mate?
Oh, there was a lot going through my mind. It was it was amazing. The crowd really got involved, and you could hear all of the fans behind you, the air horns going. It was an awesome atmosphere before the meeting had even started. So yeah, it was an unreal feeling.
Could you feel the fire as you're walking past?
But yeah, I didn't realise that first. I see the smoke at first, and I was sort of having a look at my gate, and it wasn't until I turned around I realised the fire was there, because it was
I could feel the heat
the
from the DJ console up by the ref's box. I was like, "Fuck me!" Like it was a bit
yeah,
mental.
yeah, it
You look
was
really good being a viewer on the telly. I have to quickly ask Vinny. Obviously, you've spoken about not putting pressure on yourself going into first leg, but knowing you're behind 12 points. Obviously, you've watched a lot of Speedway. You've seen playoff finals. Teams going to run behind. Was there any extra prep that you did before the second leg because you knew you were behind, big moment, or was it just head down, chill out, relax, and just go for it?
I mean, it's the same going to the meeting. I mean, you'll want to win every meeting, don't you? Really. So yeah, I think I definitely put a bit more pressure on myself for the second leg, knowing that we're 12 points down. But yeah, from the team, I scored my average again, so I'm not happy. I'm not unhappy with that, and yeah, it's yeah, pretty much the same.
I get you. I get you. So we're going to go now into the crux of it and why there's so many people waiting in this chat. We want to go through a couple of the heats, a couple of things that went on, and we basically want to hear your side of it because, as we spoke before, we said that there's Oxford fans who couldn't hear or see what was going on from the crowd. There's things like that are going on. We want to make sure you have a chance to say your bit. And all this talk of, he's got an attitude and things like that. People now, we're 20 minutes in. I think you can tell by now, anybody who's watching, he's a nice lad. So we want to bring you on so you had the opportunity to go through it yourself. Of course, your opinion may differ to the opinion of the team of Luke Colleen or the opinion of Team Jody Scott. However, we do want to hear about what you want to say, mate. So, if possible, Kingdo, would it be okay? What we're going to do is can you see the screen, Vinny, by the way?
Yeah.
So, Kingdo, would it be possible for you to run heat number 2 and you talk us through exactly what's going through your mind from the minute it starts? How's that?
Perfect.
Let's do
Sounds
it.
good to me.
Kingdo, roll it. So heat 2 starts. Obviously, the riders are called up. You're not there yet.
Yeah.
No, it was,
I'm a bit late.
Here he is.
well, I seized my engine on parade, so I had to go out and do a practice start and check all the chains all over again.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it was I pulled up pretty late, so I had to rush everything when I got to the tapes.
What was Gate 4 like?
It was good. I mean, I could have made a better start myself, but yeah, Gate 4 was good. I think the gates at the start at Poole are on the grippier side to most tracks, especially
Really?
Oxford. The start line a lot slicker. They don't rip it up, sort of thing. But yeah, it's something to get used to. It's a hard start line to get used to.
So we're coming down the tapes now. You can see Rob Wadham there. What a legend. Calling you to the tapes last, Adam Roynan style. And let's go. So tapes go up. What happened?
Yeah. You can see I just tried coming across there, and then Colleen sort of come off his line there. I thought perfect chance to get up the inside. You can see I'm in front there. We're both going for exactly the same line. I just managed to get out in front, and yeah, we're like I said, we're both going for the same line. We both want to get the trophy, so we're riding just as hard as on each other. And yeah, my foot got caught in his front wheel.
Right.
So it was obviously my footrest had hit it as well. But it was sort of I was coming from the back, Colleen was coming back to pass me there. And we both just got stuck together.
I mean, truthfully, I know the Oxford fan will hate it, but so will the Poole riders. So will the Poole supporters, even though you got the decision. It looks to me like it's 50-50, isn't it? Like, what do you reckon?
Yeah, exactly that. It's a 50-50 decision. Maybe I could have stuck to the curb and just let him round me. I could have done
And maybe he
that.
could have rolled off.
And then he could have rolled off as well. So it's a 50-50 decision. I mean, people are probably happy it went my way, and people probably aren't happy it went my way. So yeah, I mean, I get hate either way, but yeah, I feel like it's a 50-50 decision. Obviously, it's not good that Luke's come off of his bike, and like it's never good to see a rider hurt, is it?
No, it's not. Quickly before we go any further, Colin Merrion says, "It's me, not Rob." At the start line. Sorry, Colin. I didn't realise, mate. I apologise. Yeah, mate, you know, like we said at the beginning of the stream, sometimes as a home fan, decisions go for you, sometimes they go against you. If it had gone the way of you being excluded and Luke being left in, it would have been the other way with the moaning. See what I mean? Like it would have
Exactly that. You can't, at the end of the day, you can't decide what the ref says.
and even if you thought it was your fault, are you going to pick the phone up and go, "Hi, ref. I think that might be my fault, actually." Not a chance, bro.
Exactly that. I mean, no riders obviously wants to admit they're wrong. I'd say there's things I could have done differently, and there's things Luke could have done differently as well. So it's it's one of them. It's a race. We're both hard racers. You see, Luke, he's having a really good season. He's just as hard of a racer as I am. So
He definitely is, mate. And I'm not going to put it up because I did message William Cairns and ask if we could show it. But there was obviously an incident only 4 days earlier where Colleen had a come together with William Cairns. You know, William Cairns went into the corner and Luke Colleen come in too hot and hit the back of him. That's nothing against Luke Colleen, by the way. Before everyone jumps in the chat and says Luke Colleen's a great rider. It's just juniors. You know, if you're in a younger side of the if you're younger side of the age, it is going to be juniors are going to have crashes and stuff like that. It happens all the time. We saw it with yourself and Sonny Springer. You know, Sonny Springer come underneath you, took you out, and you didn't throw a paddy. You said it was racing, didn't you? From as far as I can remember.
Yeah, exactly. I got up and shook his hand. It's at the end of the day, if there was no danger to the sport, what buzz do we get out of it? It's one of them things. You're gonna have crashes like football players. They get tackled or sort of thing. It's gonna be foul and everything. And I think that's what brings the crowds in.
Yeah, completely agree.
I was going to say as well that it's the DNA of Speedway, like you said, Vinny. Like crashes happen in the sport, but also when you younger guys are in. I think this is it could be I could be wrong, but it's also one of Luke Colleen's first big playoff matches as well. So you guys have both got the same sort of jitters. You both want to go out and score for your clubs, so that stuff's going to happen, and it's better for you guys to try and overtake and go for it. And like you say, I think that you've got a very mature head on your shoulders there by saying that look, it's part of the sport, and like you can just hopefully get on with it afterwards. And once the dust settles, you guys can just get back to being mates.
Yeah, exactly that. Like you don't want to fall. Like I'd sort of see Luke Clean as a friend sort of thing. I mean, we've raced together since he's been here. We've raced sort of against each other, and we've never had a fallout before. And I think it's more of a fan side of situations than the riders. Like I haven't had no horrible messages from Luke, or he wouldn't receive any horrible messages from me, sort of thing. It's yeah, as soon as he come off the track, you can't see on BSN. I asked him if he was all right. Then after the race, I sort of had my head. I see the blue light. No, his light, my exclusion light didn't go on. So I was getting ready for my race. It seems arrogant, but I was just getting ready to race. I had the racing mindset. I come off the track. I went over to him, asked if he was okay. I shook his hand, and that's that.
Yeah, exactly, mate. You can't, dwell on it forever. The decision has been made. It's not your decision. If the ref says you're back in, you're back in. If you had gone into him and rode straight through the bloke, you can't exactly go, do you know, I'm not going to bother with this race because it was, could have been my fault.
Yeah,
See what I mean?
exactly that.
Before we go to the next few races, I'll tell you something. To the chat, by the way, to everyone who's watching, I was really nervous before this stream because I was really worried that this chat was going to get full of nasty, horrible comments. There isn't any.
There's not been one.
So big up to all the Oxford fans who are watching and the Poole fans for being respectful to Vinny. He's here in front of you now. He's here to talk to you. And big up to everybody for being so not because everything's positive. I thought I was going to have to filter loads of stuff out and that sort of thing, but it's all really, really good. So if we go through a few of the questions, Kingdom, obviously I'll put them up for you. And let's take it to the fans because I didn't think we'd be able to do this because I thought it was going to be like a war zone like Facebook is. But it's not. So let's go for... That's a statement.
It is more of a statement, but I think it echoes what we're saying. So Jamie Simmons saying the younger generation are more hungry. They're wanting to win more than the old generation. They want to go faster. I mean, like you said, I think as well, when you mentioned it was your first big playoff match, I think, does that not also add those extra jitters to go, do you know what? I've seen people like Bomber in a playoff go absolutely mental around the boards, put 100% on the line. Is that not your mentality going into that?
Yeah, exactly. Like we're us younger ones, we haven't made it. The older boys, the heat leaders as well, they've made it. We're still young. We're not as experienced as half of them, and yeah, we're just trying to get our names out there and make it in the sport. So we are probably more hungry than them. So it's yeah, it's one of them things. It comes down to a lack of experience, and yeah, we just race hard, and yeah, we want it all.
Martin Brooks is asking you, mate, what's your ambitions for in Speedway for the next 2, 5, and 10 years? So a little bit of a path there.
Well, it's hard to say really, like without being unrealistic. Everyone wants to be in the GPs, but being realistic, I just want to make it to the best I can. Hopefully, get into the top league and maybe heat leaders at some point in the well in both leagues. I want to be a heat leader at some point at least.
Ali Bev is asking, did you speak to the Oxford riders after? You had a chance to yet, mate?
Yeah, obviously they were pretty upset. They've lost the meeting. So yeah, but I went over. I shook the riders' hands. They all come over. At the end of the day, we're all there to make our money and race, score our points. So I feel like there shouldn't be any hatred against riders. And yeah, I'd never not just walk straight past the rider without shaking their hand and showing a bit of respect.
100%, mate. Jimmy's saying he's an Oxford fan. He says fair play to you.
Thank you.
And Martin said, "Would you come out to Poole next year if you got the call?"
I mean, yeah, I'm open for options. I've had no offers as of yet, so yeah, I'm just
Vinnie
gonna
Foord,
wait
get
and
on the
see.
phone.
And yeah, I'm just gonna wait and see what happens. And yeah, I mean, only time can tell.
This
100%.
this next, well, it's more of a statement really in the comments. I spoke to Pink Tuck about this after the meeting, and we said the last rider we told you before as well, just before we came on the stream. The last rider I remember everyone saying was dangerous and was wiping people out and should be banned and all this rubbish was Jason Doyle. Oh, wrong one. Susan Rutherford was Jason Doyle, and Emma said reminds me of a young Jason Doyle, and look where he ended up.
Yeah, exactly that. Jason Doyle, he's a world-class rider. I mean, Ty Woffenden, he's had a few crashes this year. It doesn't mean he's any worse of a rider, does it? He's still a world-class rider, and I think it shows that the best of the best riders crash, and it's just something. If you can get up and just wipe it off, you're good to go again. Then why not, eh?
Exactly, mate. The same way Ty at Cardiff last year, 2023, he had the bike locked up, kicked him over the top. We've seen you do it a couple of times this year. Happens to everyone, mate, you know?
Yeah,
Hey,
exactly.
as well, quickly, do you think that like these big crashes that you've had this season, obviously it's derailed you a little bit with a nagging injury here and there, but do you think it's actually made you a better rider? You know, when you're thinking about how to go into corners or overtake, has these little, small injuries you've had actually, do you think it's improved you a lot?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, my shoulder injury was probably the hardest. I was out for quite a long time. So coming back, my first few meetings, I wasn't scoring what I wanted to be scoring. I mean, Workington, I had a pretty good meeting, but my first match back, I think I done 3 points, but I didn't feel like I could have done as much as I should have, sort of thing. But at the end of the day, it's making starts. It's a confidence thing. Your first time back on a bike when everyone's been riding the whole way through it. It's hard, but yeah, I feel like these crashes, you learn from every crash. You learn from every race win. You're always learning, and yeah, I feel like I've definitely improved even with the crashes.
Absolutely, mate. So that takes us on to the next big part of what we want to cover coming on to today. Because, like I said, there are Oxford fans here who want to go through it from your side. Because obviously, we all hear the fan side of things where they're moaning and coming up. You do hear some brain dead stuff online. However, we want to take you through heat number 8, if that's okay, Kingdo.
Yeah, I can get up.
Heat number 8.
Now.
This one here is the controversial one. This is the one where it got a little bit spicy, and I still don't know to this day how on earth you got out of that fence without going away in an ambulance. So I guess right here you didn't have a clue it was going to happen, but talk us through it, Vinny.
I mean, there you can see me like preparing my gate and stuff like that. Without watching the video, I know I made a pretty bad start. I've not really seen much of this race. Like I haven't really been too much on social media, so I haven't really seen a lot of it. So yeah, but I think this was the heat. We had we had Toby instead. But yeah, you can see you getting ready. I made a terrible reaction. My reaction was absolutely awful. Made a terrible start. Here you can see me setting up ready to lock up. It
Left.
huge patch of grip, and I sort of let him pass me again. And here, look, you can see me onto the curb there. I've given Jody some room. He's turned. There you go. That's that. And yeah,
That's that then.
yeah, you can. And then yeah, you can sort of see. I tried giving Jody some room. He's turned left. Maybe I could have rolled off, or maybe he couldn't have turned left. At the end
Same
of
as
the day,
Colleen.
you can see my elbow in the video. If you slow it down, you can see my elbow go up, and that's
Bring it back,
so
Kingdo. Can you roll it back
I
to the
haven't
beginning?
rolled
Yeah,
off.
I can roll that.
But it's so hard to slow yourself down coming out of the bend. But there, you see me roll off a bit. But it's so hard to slow down coming
Can you
off of the
go back a bit
bend.
further so we can see it? But the thing is, with can you pause it, Kingdo, in a second when we come out the bend? Because
Yeah, can do.
the room you give Jody coming off if you clattered him over the start line here, if you clattered him there, like
Yeah.
I would say that would be what people would say was out of control. But
Oh,
the whole way out the
100%.
corner, he's got room.
Yeah, exactly that. I was making sure to just at the end of the day, I was going up the inside of Jody. That's what my aim was the whole time. I would never try and hurt Jody as much as I wouldn't try and hurt any other rider. You can see me there. I'm pretty much straight. Jody's sort of coming out the bend on an angle. So yeah, it's there. We're pretty close, but you could see gap. You could see a huge gap, and we're both still on the gas at that point. A bit further on there, you can see him start turning on me there. You can even see me starting to hesitate there. So I've
That's
tried
clear as
rolling off a
day.
little bit.
It's clear as day. You can see him turning.
Yeah, exactly that. You can see him turning there, which normally, and you can see Toby's in second. He hasn't even started to turn yet. Do you see what I mean? Like,
this is why we got you here, mate. This is
Yeah.
why you're here. Like, you're right. Everyone in the chat, any Oxford fans that were, dubious about it before, I would say that's pretty smoking gun there, King Do. Can we put it? Can I try and put it back in? So let's go to here. So let's start from the start again, just so people can see it.
Yeah, mate. I mean,
So
I think
But there I hit a
Vinny,
huge amount of grip. Maybe if I'd hit him there, I would have been out of control.
100%.
As you can see, I was out of control when that picked up.
So here, control.
There, you can see he's trying to lean on me there. I hesitate there as he's tried leaning.
You can see your elbow in the air rolling off.
Yeah, and then that's where I think a lot of the fans think I've tried to elbow Jody at this point, but that is just me rolling off slightly. You got to give it. You got to roll off a little bit going into the bend. When you got a rider going that close to you, at the end of the day, it's easier to slow yourself down, turning at the right time where Toby is. I'd say, if we had turned there, I could have put my leg down and really turned hard and slowed myself right down, so I didn't have to hit him.
Yeah.
But because it was so early, if I had turned there, I would have gone straight across the centre green and probably caused a crash anyway.
You can see there, like you said, this angle here, when we paused it, you can see you're straight and he's literally, Jody is, no, again, Jody, if you watch him, it's nothing against you, mate. Juniors, like we said the whole time. And if it was the other way around, Vinny, if it was Jody where you are and you where he is, I'd say the same thing as I've said on social media the whole time over the last 2 days. It's juniors, inexperience coming together. It happens. I'm not defending because he's a pirate. So everyone's saying he's got pirate tinted glasses and all that bollocks. It's not true. But there you can see that. Kingdo, what do you think?
I mean, I think what Vinny said there was actually really telling is when you look at it on this frame, because obviously I'd certainly never seen it with this frame, that Jody's turning early. And like to add what you just said, Carl, not only is it juniors, but it's also juniors in the championship final. They're going for it. They're gonna make a few errors, they're gonna push the limits. That's in a sense, we don't want to see the big crashes, but we want to see them on the edge. And sometimes this can happen. So yeah, if Jody's watching or all the Oxford fan watching, we are not here to hate on Jody Scott or anyone.
Nothing against Jody. Nothing.
We're just here to try and analyze it and make it, show the side of Vinny, but also just show that this is championship, playoff speedway. This was the final, and these things can happen. I mean, you look at that. That's hard racing for a third point. In the context of the meeting, there, that would still keep it within 2 points on aggregate. So these guys are going at it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll let it roll, Vinny, because obviously what unfolded after was why we've got so many views right now. So we'll let it run. We obviously see that. What? Oh my God. Can you remember going into the fence at that speed? Can you remember?
I sort of got stuck obviously me and Jody got stuck together. It's one of them things. I couldn't do anything about the crash. Jody couldn't do anything about the crash at this point. As soon as we got clamped together, and you see Jody's pretty annoyed about it there. I was still on the floor at this point. As I was in pain, I was winded. And so I was still on the floor at this point. You could hear the atmosphere, a lot of fans screaming and shouting. I have an 8-year-old brother who was standing on that first one right where I'd hit the fence. So, I mean, of my family. So I mean, they don't really want to see a big crash like that. As much as Jodie's family don't want to see a big crash like that. But yeah, I think the hardest part about that was maybe the fans. Fans are always going to prefer their own riders, but I mean, I was sort of down and I could hear riders swearing, and I know that the fans were sort of giving me death threats in front of my family, and it was upsetting my family as well. I mean, me personally, haters, it's one of them things. People are going to love you, people are going to hate you, like I said. But it's hard. I think it's harder for a sportsman's family members to hear it than it is for a sportsman to hear it.
Completely agree.
Yeah. I mean, when you say that you'll see with haters and stuff, you kind of just bounce it off. How much, what do you think that's just come naturally with how you've been brought up, or do you think because it's been a slow trickle throughout the year and you've suddenly embedded yourself in British Speedway a bit more that you're just kind of as it comes, you're getting better? What's the journey been like with the hate and social media?
I mean, I haven't really had that much hate. When I signed for Poole at the start, there was obviously a few people that haven't really heard of me and stuff like that, so they wasn't really too keen on me even signing for Poole at first. But it's one of them things. As in every single sport, there's someone who's gonna not like you, and it doesn't change that I'm gonna ride my bike. So I'm still gonna race if someone hates me or loves me.
Yeah, I'm going to go to this question actually, Kingdo. Evil Robot Steve says pantomime booing is one thing, but doing it when a rider's still down and you don't know their hurt isn't on. Could you hear the booing and the gestures? I know from where I was standing, I could see the middle fingers, the wankers. Could you hear that when you were still buried in the fence?
Yeah, well, as soon as I sort of sat up, you can hear the fans shouting. I could hear someone pretty loud screaming at the top of their voice, death threats at me, whilst I was still sitting down. And it's not great as you know, I was sitting there in a lot of pain. I just had probably one of the biggest crashes of my season so far. I know I managed to walk away
So far.
pretty uninjured. I know I managed to walk away pretty uninjured, but yeah, I'd say that's probably one of my biggest crashes, and it's a nasty one to watch for the fans, I'd imagine. But yeah, it's personally, I don't think it's right for fans to be kicking off whilst the riders are still down.
No, completely agree. And we'll let it roll forward now onto the next bit. And this is the bit before we go any further. We spoke before we come on, and the reason I got shit on social media is because I was arguing with fans that if a crowd is booing you, you should be allowed to. Yeah, it's not you. If you went up to them all and were, fuck you, cunts, all the rest of it back, it's different. I've given them a little bit of a. Nicky Pedersen did it every week, every single week wherever he went. Nicky Pedersen did it. But the consensus from the Oxford fans was it's not bang out of order, the Oxford fans booing you as you're on the fence, but it's out of order as a professional sportsman to stand up and give it back. And I said, like we said just before we come on air, I said, if an Oxford fan had jumped, if that's the mentality, if an Oxford fan had jumped over the fence and lamped you straight in the mouth, if you had punched them back then, would you be the unprofessional one being the sports person? It seems ridiculous to me. What do you think of it?
I mean, it's a difficult one. I mean, obviously, I've got to be professional, but I think in that moment in time, there's fans booing me, and I wasn't cheering. I know a lot of the fans are saying I cheered because I made another rider crash, and it wasn't that at all. At the end of the day, the atmosphere was pretty crazy anyway, and I was only making it more. I was only making it louder, really. So I was, more trying to make the crowd more excited, sort of thing. And yeah, it was nothing against the riders, but it's yeah, I think you got to give what you can. You can't give something and not be able to take it.
Yeah, Vinny, I was going to say, mate, as well. You look at any other sport, right? And this is, I think, where the distinction, the line needs to be drawn in the sand is. booing another team, or if you're on the opposite team, is fine, but not when the injuries are there. If you knock somebody up and they were fine, they booed you, I think you'd be cool with that, right? That's part of the sport. You support your team, you boo the other team. Football, that happens. Anything else, but it's the distinction of when another rider's down on a big crash and they boo you. That must be a really tough thing to take, especially as a young and inexperienced lad.
Yeah, exactly that. Like they're all fully grown blokes. I'm like you said, I just turned 18. And I I took a really, really big impact. So my sort of mentality was just get up, make sure I'm okay first. That's what I think any normal person would do. You'd make sure someone's all right before you start slurring. I'd say maybe I'm wrong for saying that. Maybe it might have been the right thing to do for them in that situation. But yeah, I personally think that if someone's hurt, you don't then go and shout and kick off towards them.
No, and the best thing, again, any other rider who was in that situation probably would have come away and probably reported the fans to the SCB or things like this. But what you did was all it done was encourage the atmosphere. Come out and think, you're the one that's hurt. No one else has been through the fence. And for you to get up and go on, keep cheering, keep booing, keep putting your middle fingers at me, keep calling me a wanker. I don't care.
Mm.
Mate, how people think that is worse than what they were doing is beyond me. Absolutely beyond me.
Yeah.
What do you think, Kingdo?
Well, absolutely, and I think what you said there right is right, Carl, about building the atmosphere. And I think we always talk about British sport being a dying sport and this sort of stuff, and it needs atmosphere. We finally get it. A rider then encourages that atmosphere, and he gets shit for it. I think that's ridiculous. And actually, I think you are well within your rights when people were shouting things like death threats for you to be able, if you just put your arms up and blow them a kiss, like that's quite a low down reaction, in my opinion. Especially when your family are in that corner. A quick question I have, Vinny, is how quickly after a crash like that does your family find out you're good? Did your dad go over and let them know? You obviously said your phone also died quite early on in the meeting, so you couldn't really get on the socials and stuff. So how was it transferring that info to them that you were all good?
No, they sort of come over to the pit gates after, and they obviously made sure I was okay and stuff like that. But my dad's pretty good, keeps my family informed if I'm injured but normally if I am injured, I, I'm probably normally 9 times out of 10 still on the floor. So yeah, it's I think my family can tell when I'm injured and when it's time to give up.
Vinny, we want to talk about the social media backlash. I know you haven't been on it much, and the only reason I wouldn't usually have somebody on here and talk about this because it's awkward. You don't say it's really nasty for somebody to come on and go, these are comments people have made about you. But we chatted before. We know, politely. I know people didn't like Tobias Thompson swearing on the stream, but you don't give a fuck, do you? Like, I mean, if anyone's nasty to you, you don't go home and cry. Like, from what we had a chat about before you came on, does it bother you at all when people are unkind or?
No, at the end of the day, it sounds stupid, but I just use the hate as motivation. At the end of the day, I'm there to do my job. Someone says something, why am I going to change from doing my job and doing what I enjoy? I just look at, to be honest, some of the times I just maybe have a little chuckle, or I just turn my phone off. And at the end of the day, why do I need to listen?
No, you don't, mate. You absolutely
I
don't.
I just say, mate, and this is not patronising at all, mate, but the fact that it's such a young rider in his first proper season, you have that mentality already is incredible, because it could be so easy for you to look at that and it bog you down, and you go into these next couple meetings and you're thinking, oh god, the whole fan base at Oxford's against me, but actually no, you've gone, I'm going to turn off the noise and just use my bike, and that's the noise I'm going to make. I think that's actually incredible.
No, exactly. I mean, fans, they're gonna they probably hate me even more after the meeting. Like if I can go out and score some points, I can prove them wrong. Or if, do you know what I mean? I just go there, prove them wrong that I'm not dangerous, I'm not out of control or whatever, and I can just go out enjoy my racing. But yeah, it's all about just proving them proving them wrong and proving myself that I know I'm not that.
I think we've been online now for 50 minutes, and I think anybody who had any mixed feelings of your actual attributes in Speedway, we're getting no hate here. So I think you're probably showing them now, this is me, I'm Vinnie Foord, this is what I'm all about. And I hope you're glad that you come on and did it anyway. But the next thing I want to ask was, and sorry, Oxford fans, it's not me rubbing salt on the wound, it's not me taking the piss. If Oxford had won the meeting and won the championship, do you think the talk would have all been about Vinnie Foord? Or do you think it's because they're looking for something to complain about or blame? I'm not offending you, Oxford fans, by saying it. I'm saying Poole fans would do exactly the same. What do you think, Vinnie?
I mean, I'm sure there probably would have still been some comments, but I don't think it would have been to the extent it has been.
Yeah.
I think it's more they would have been celebrating, and I think that's the last thing you think about someone crashing when you know they're both up on their feet. By the end of it, I was on my feet. So was Jody. At the end of the day, all they're worried about is winning. They've won the title. You're just celebrating and forget about it.
Yeah,
But
I completely agree, mate.
because they lost, it was maybe they thought it was me trying to maybe help them lose the meeting towards doing that. Like maybe they thought it was like as a target sort of thing.
You've got
But
to be fucking
like I
dumb, though,
said,
ain't you? You've got to be
yeah,
dumb to think that.
exactly that. I mean, like I said, nothing's malicious. Speedway, it's one of the things you crash. But
Me and
I'd
King Listen,
never do anything to hurt anyone on purposely.
yeah, me and King said earlier, no offense to Jody Scott or Luke Colleen. Luke Colleen, by the way, is a really, really close friend of my family's. Luke Colleen is, I know he spends a lot of time with my auntie and uncle and cousins. One cousin's getting married tomorrow. Just getting that in there now. Congratulations, Hayden. Enjoy your wedding. But if it was malicious and tactical, like some brain dead people have said, that this is like a tactic to wipe people out, surely you'd wipe out Scott Nichols or Sam Masters.
Well, exactly that. If you really wanted to stop a team from winning, you'd Luke Clean's an absolute awesome rider, and I know he's done really well, and Jody's doing really well as well. But if that was the case, you'd go for the heat leader. Personally, like you're gonna take out a heat leader if you was gonna do that. But I don't think anyone in their right mind would take out a rider purposely.
Of course they would.
100%.
Especially not the speed you did. Fucking hell.
Yeah,
Exactly that.
yeah. I just want to say as well, on top of what you were saying, Carl, about the hate, and do you think it was them just looking for an excuse? I remember when the night after, we were talking about the hate you were getting, which obviously on a much smaller scale to what Vinny was getting. But I was saying to you at that time, they're looking for a way just to get their anger out because of the result and because of what happened. And sometimes, and this is the whole thing with social media that I think people need to take into account more, is that you know shouting at an echo chamber can actually hurt people. And look at Vinny, who's 18. Luckily, he switched his phone off, didn't look at it. But like, it's a bit ridiculous that you're going after an 18-year-old who's just doing his job. And that, like Vinny has said, that you said, mate, so many times, it's a dangerous job. Crashes going to happen because riders are on the edge. They're going for it, especially in a championship final. So I think. Unfortunately, if that result was the other way around, I do agree with you guys that the noise might be a bit quieter.
Yeah, exactly that.
Completely agree. I've got a question here. Pink Tuck actually texted me earlier. I know she was driving earlier, now she's not. But Pink Tuck said to me, to make sure I ask you, by the way, big up Pink Tuck. When you read the shit on social media, is it hard not to reply? Like, because what I try and do is like somebody I'm like between being a fan and being an official, as it were, because I do obviously work with the Grand Prix and with British Speedway. So I try to reply as much as I can because I like reacting with fans. I find it really hard not to react when people say stupid shit about you. How do you feel reading it? Or do you read it and think, do you have to hold back, or how do you feel?
I mean, there is obviously some comments you look at and you think that is absolutely ridiculous. and you think, oh, you could say this back and you could say that back. But at the end of the day, I want to try and be the bigger person. They're all there to watch Speedway. I'm there to try and entertain them. I'm not going to try and make them hate me even more. So and I know that it would backlash to me over them because of me being the rider and them being the fan sort of thing. So yeah, I just sort of look at it. Everyone. I think the fans sort of write my messages back for me, sort of thing.
Well,
Like I sort
sorry,
of don't have to say a thing, and they sort of reply back, and whatever the fans do, I can't get in trouble for. So they message each other back and forth, whatever, and it's got nothing to do with me. So in that
well,
way,
we've
I can
held
just
over 150 people. We actually got up to nearly 180 people watching at once. William Cairns, who is tipped to be the next British superstar, peaked at 50. So we've got people watching today, which is
Can I
amazing.
just ask a question based off what you just said, Vinny, about the fans kind of, battling your corner? How does it feel, right? It's kind of midway through the season as a relative unknown to British Speedway. And I know this because I literally record with your number one super fan the entire time. How does it feel to already be so intrinsically a part of the Poole family? Because I know they're probably one of the most passionate sort of clubs in the world, right? You're a Poole Pirate, you're part of the family. So how does it feel to be part of that network and only being there for, like 2/3 of the season?
it's absolutely unreal. I mean, I was made feel welcome from the minute I got up from my first crash. Really, they I think the Poole fans sort of know that I try 100%, and I think that's what maybe draws them to me. And I can't thank the fans enough. I mean, they supported me whether I go out, don't even finish the meeting, or if I finish the meeting with 8 points or whatever I can score, they always seem to be getting behind me and supporting me either way. So it's absolutely unreal, and I'm loving it.
Mate, we love having you as a pirate. I've given you the adopted name of the Pirate Prince. I started Richard the Rocket Man Lawson. Let's hope this one sticks as well, and hope you're here with us for years to come.
Yeah.
Evil Robot Steve says Poole fans love to see committed and hungry riders, and of course we've loved Vinny straight away. What I want to say was, before we move on to the last couple of things I want to ask you is, in Speedway, and everyone who's watching here will agree with me, I'm sure they will. The biggest complaint we have is that there's a lack of passing. Everyone always says, oh, there's no passing. It was a shit GP because there's no passing. Oh, there's no passing here. The track was rubbish. When you get young riders, whether it be Luke Killeen, William Cairns, Vinnie Foord, Sonny Springer, all trying to pass each other, don't complain when they crash. Because if they crash into each other, do you want them to try and pass and sort of get rid of the thing of that there's no passing in Speedway? Or do you want to sit back and stay where they are? Fans in the chat, please tell me, what would you rather? Would you rather everyone be safe and have a field of 14 people who want to get out of the gate and stay where they are? Or do you want a field of 14 Vinnie Fords and let's have absolute mayhem? Let's do it. Chat, let us know.
Because obviously, like, just to expand on that, Carl, there's a reason the sport became popular, and it's not because people were being safe. That's not me trying to be a dickhead. That's just a fact, right? That's the entertainment value. Is when you watch a Formula One race or you watch any kind of motorsport, it's because of you're on the edge of your seat, people in danger. That's the whole point of it.
Completely agree.
Exactly. It's that's the thing with Speedway. It's a dangerous sport, isn't it? It's I think you sign up to Speedway knowing it's dangerous. You don't go to a Speedway meeting and think, oh no, it's fine. It's you're not going to hurt yourself, because there's going to be a time where you are going to hurt yourself. And I think every rider signs up for it, and that's one of them things.
Yeah, Ace Piper, big up Ace Piper, by the way, jumping in on the stream. He said, I'd rather not riders take each other out. What I'm saying, mate, is would you rather junior riders have a go at each other, like Jody and Vinny? I know it ended up really bad, but would you rather they try and pass or go, I'm not going to bother trying to pass because it's not safe? What do you reckon, mate? You race as well, so it's the same. Sven says, it's racing. We love to see riders overtaken. That's what Speedway is all about. Cody Reed says, Vinny, you are and always will be part of the Poole family. Riders have shown they can pass and not get hurt. Yep. So, mate, it's all good. We're all positive.
Yeah.
So,
You know, I mean,
Vinny,
I will just say this, just to say this now. The reason that Carl loves you, mate, is because you give it 100%. Believe me, we literally, this is probably you're probably the biggest guest we could get from Raw Speedway in Carl's mind, mate.
don't tell him, Kingo. Don't tell him.
To mate, yes, like he made the same night we met each other actually in the same club. It was like that he got a photo with you, and he said the only rider I'm going to get a photo with is Vinnie Foord. He's my number one guy. So in Carl's mind, mate, you being here, we've peaked.
It's the thing is I like to see. I love riders that give 100%. That's my favourite thing personally. I like to see riders giving 100%. I know Sam Hagan's had a loss of form at the end of the season. But Sam Hagan, happy birthday for yesterday if you're watching Sam Hagan. Was the same at the beginning of the season, just like you. He either wins or ends up on the dog track. And it's watching riders like yourself and early season Sam Hagan is like, it's like heavyweight boxing. You know somebody's either going to get knocked out or they're going to win it. And that's what makes it exciting. For me personally, people might disagree with me, but I love that. And you are the only rider I've ever asked for a selfie with. So big up, Vinny. And right, last couple of things before we go on. I've got to say, how do you feel about the final two meetings? Are you nervous? Are you, because of all the stuff that's gone on and all the publicity, are you more nervous? Are you more charged up? How are you feeling, Vinny?
I think I'm sort of feeling the way I was for the first and second leg of the league final. I think I've just got to go there, do my job. Don't need to listen to what anyone says because I'm there to do my job at the end of the day. As much as all of the riders are there to do their job and the fans are there to be entertained. So I can just go there exactly how I've been all season, do my job, go home, do the next one, go home, and just enjoy it. At the end of the day, it's my last two meetings of the season. I don't want that to have to go to waste.
That's sick, mate. We got a little bit buggy there, but a few more comments here I'm going to read out. Someone said, you mentioned F1. The GOAT Ayrton Senna said, if you don't go for a gap, you're no longer a racer. What do you reckon?
Exactly.
Well, exactly that. I mean, I try every gap. You've got risks. If there's obviously always risks in Speedway, sometimes there's gaps where you're like, I don't really think I can get through that. And then there's one, if you know you can get through it, and there's a possibility of crashing, but if you can narrow down the possibilities of crashing and just go for it. So yeah, if like at the end of the day, I'll try 100%. If I don't try 100%, it's not a good meeting.
Completely agree, mate. Kingsley, have you got anything to add quickly before we go on to the last couple of questions?
Well, what I want to ask, mate, really is just, going forward, obviously, at the start of the season, was even being in the championship on your radar? How would you say this season as a whole for you? Has it exceeded expectations? Is it like, right, we're on track next year, just continue where we're going? Like, what's your overall thoughts as you go into your last big matchup?
Obviously, starting this season, I sort of wanted a championship spot, but I knew first few meetings I wasn't ready. And then I just started progressing, and then we done the under-21s qualifier at Plymouth, and I had a really good meeting. And I got second place behind Sam, and I only dropped. I think I finished on. So I only dropped 3 points. I think maybe 4, but it was a really good meeting. And then I done the same with the under-21s final. I had a good meeting, and I think that's when I really thought, right, it's time. Hopefully soon I can get a call up, and I did, and it did come to me as a shock, but I knew that I was ready for the next step.
Awesome.
Before we go on the last couple, Jamie Simmons says, what's your favourite fans, bro? Are you a Leicester fans guy or a Poole fans guy, or are you edging to another set of fans that you want to try and tap next year?
Well, it's got to be Poole fans, isn't it? I mean,
oh, the boy!
every week they get behind me. Leicester fans too, they're absolutely awesome. Every meeting I see them, they're absolutely amazing. I think your home fans have always got to be your favourites, haven't they? But yeah, they just the support I get from there's other fans too that watch my races, and I can see all the comments and all of the support I get. It doesn't go unnoticed, and yeah, I'd like to say a big thank you for all the support, sort of thing. But yeah, your home fans have got to be the ones that your favourites. They get behind you the most.
But I'll tell you something, mate. There was the word attitude swung around a lot on social media before we come online tonight. And I can tell you something, the word attitude now has gone out the fucking window, because everyone who's here, and everyone will back me on this, who's in the group chat right now, there's no attitude on this boy. And if you assume there was attitude on him, you've heard him now for over an hour. There's no attitude on the lad. He's a great guy. And hit the chat, hit it up. If you've changed your mind, there's no attitude in him at all. And I'm so chuffed we've had him on. Couple of closing things.
Sorry, guys.
Any messages to the Oxford fans? Obviously, we want to keep it pretty cool because it's a stream, and the SCB are probably watching, and they're a little bit strict with stuff.
Yeah.
But any messages for the Oxford fans? Maybe spice things up a little bit for the last two legs.
Not really. I mean, I don't know. I just see you at the meeting, and hopefully we can all have a good one.
Perfect. We've got so far, my stepdaughter loves seeing you every time. Oxford fans have to be a favourite now. Jilksy says, Lid Speedway fans.
Yeah, well, Lid Speedway fans, they're closest to home. Them ones, they're
up the lid.
They're where they've sort of
You're going to Iwade Sunday, Vinny?
Pardon?
You're going to Iwade Sunday?
Yes, I should be at Iwade Sunday.
Yeah, I'll be there as well doing drone stuff. So
spot on. So yeah, cool. Lid. I grew up at Lid. It was pretty cool. It's where I originally met Dan, and yeah, we've done quite a few years there together, and Nathan Ablett as well. We used to go over there. So yeah, it's produced some talent out of.
Up the lid, boys. Up the lid, boys. Mal says, we have your back, Vinny. Sven says, he speaks so well. Aaron Spicer says, do you regret any actions from Wednesday as an Oxford fan? Aaron Spencer's a good guy, by the way. I'm sorry, Aaron Spicer. He's a good guy. He's not a hater. So what do you reckon, Vinny?
I mean, obviously, there's a few things I might have questioned. I wouldn't say regrets the word other than the crashes, but I wouldn't. It's not something I chose to do, so it's not something that I could have changed, sort of thing. So no, I wouldn't say regrets the right word.
That's absolutely perfect, mate. Owen Booth says big Dan jokes in the chat. Jamie Simmons says a treble of Poole, that's expectations you need. Right. The last two things, mate. Next season. Come on. Do the bizzo. Danny Foord, get on the phone, boy. Get on the phone. Sort the boy out. We know we want him. Pirates fans in the chat right now. Vinny for Poole 25 in the chat right now. Any offers? Any idea where it's going, or are you still a bit blank?
Yeah, I'm still a bit blank as of now. I mean, I haven't really had the phone. I've had a little bit of talking, but nothing major, and I haven't had no 100% yet. So it's I've still got my options open. And yeah, I just sort of see where time takes me.
Can I just interject? There's been a running theme of all the interviews we've done in which Carl has wanted to tab out all three of our riders to Poole Pirates. I reckon, as soon as we do 7 more speedways, that's Carl's Poole select going forward, because all three of them.
If you gave me Tate Zishki, Vinnie Foord, and William Cairns next season, mate, I'm in. I'm all in. But I'll tell you what, if you're ever worried about popularity, we're saying now, Vinnie for Poole, Come on, Danny, get on the phone. We rate you. I think no, I ain't putting that up. He would not suit Tigers Kevilas. 24 for Poole, 25. Danny Foord, get on the phone. Definitely need Vinny back in 25. We need Vinny keep Poole the whole 2025. Mate, last question. The bikes. I mean, the repair bill must be out of this fucking world.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty expensive.
Are they ready for Wednesday?
Yeah, nearly ready. Obviously there's work still to do, and it's cost effective. I mean, it's really hard this close to the end of the season. You don't want to be buying. You don't really want to be spending ridiculous amounts of money when you got to do the same at the start of next season. But it's one of them things. The bike was a complete write-off, pretty much. I think I could save the engine out of it. So yeah,
What
it's
about Will?
the back wheel might have been fine too. Yeah. So yeah, the back wheel and the engine was probably the only decent parts out of the bike. But yeah, it's cost effective, but they'll be done ready for Wednesday.
Well, I'll tell you what, we've had somebody else in, a good friend of ours, Paulie Jazz, has said, happy to have Vinny as the rising star at Ipswich next year. We'll get the air fence panels ready.
Yeah, I don't really know what to say about that one. I mean, obviously it'd be nice to be in the Premiership as a rising star. I think maybe they'd have to invest in a few extra air fences for me. I'm not really like I
Small
haven't
price to
really
pay,
done.
bro. Small price to pay.
The entertainment will be out of this world, mate.
It
Yeah,
will
well, I
be.
haven't really had much experience on any of the Premiership tracks. I've had obviously Leicester. I've done a bit around Kings Lynn when I was younger, but like Sheffield, Ipswich. I think I done one meeting at Ipswich back in the day when I was on the 150. So yeah, I haven't really had much experience. I think it was Kings Lynn and Birmingham's. Kings Lynn, Birmingham, and Leicester have probably been the tracks I've ridden the most.
Well, any Premiership teams that are having open days and stuff, I want to have a look at the boy. He's here. He's ready to go. Give him a shout. He'll come up and have a spin for you. I think we're covered, mate. I think we've covered everything. I can't believe the numbers we've held. I hope, and I think by the chat, every doubter has now been turned there or thereabouts, and that sort of thing. There's lots of rumours coming about in the chat now, but mate, thank you so much for coming on. I'll tell you something, and everyone in the chat now will back me up on this. This is raw Speedway, so it's not airbrushed like the podcast and stuff. This is raw. It takes serious bollocks to have that much social media backlash and 2 days later jump on a live stream and confront everybody who has a question. So I must say, Kingdom, I've got to do it, but well done, Vinnie Foord.
No,
Well,
just as well. Obviously, you guys had the conversation. Get this on the green light. Just to tell the viewers how this happened. I was literally driving from work.
Driving
yesterday in my.
How can you drive, bro, in a wheelchair?
But and then can't wait. We got Vinny on. We got Vinny. You can laugh, mate. You're fine. We got Vinny tomorrow. It was that quick. There was no, it was that easy. And like you said, we every time we get a guest on, we always want to, show their side of the story. And Vinny, mate, you've been superb. And I think fair play for you at your age, mate, with the shit you've been getting to come on here and be open and honest about stuff. And you haven't said anything wrong or anything like. You've been perfect, mate. So thank you very much for giving us the time.
Yeah, exactly. I just wanted to come on here, clear myself up, and I'd like to say a big thank you to everyone that's stayed on the live and listened to what I had to say.
Big up, Vinny. Seriously. And anybody who says the word attitude in social media now, I'm just going to link you to this clip, this stream, because what a lovely bloke. I'm not going to give him too much props because he's on the stream with me. But what a bloke. That's pretty much what we got to say. Vinny, stay on. Don't shut us down because we'll shut the stream down before we say goodbye to you off air and stuff. But honestly, thank you, everybody, so much. Martin Brooks says, great interview, Vinny. You come across very well and very level-headed. It's been a great stream. Thank you for all joining us and giving us the time to let Vinny do his thing. And yeah, I can't believe the numbers we've had. I can't believe we tripled Will Cairns. So,
And we thought the Will Kearns one was, by the way, guys, just for content, we were buzzing off the wall with the Will Kearns one. We still are. That was a really good stream, but to be able to be, basically
to do
triple that
nearly
is
4
incredible.
times the numbers on a different stream. I think if this stream comes across as a bit disjointed, I think the plan is such went a little bit out of the window. We try and keep it raw and natural, but we do have sort of bullet points to go by. And whenever it's started pouring in with comments, we're like, holy shit. Like, so if everyone it's been disjointed and it hasn't been for you, I'm really sorry. It's just a bit more of a jump than we used to. Make sure you do click subscribe because we have loads of fun shit coming up, competitions, Grand Prix stuff, domestic stuff, loads of stuff. Click subscribe, click like on the video, and there's fun stuff coming up next year.
And can I just say, I've been keeping an eye, and a lot of you have subscribed. So thank you very much. You guys have been fantastic.
Hopefully next year, me and Kingdom have got plans to do Top Gear-esque stuff with the Grand Prix, racing across Europe in cars and stuff. Hopefully, Vinnie Foord might join us for one.
Hopefully,
Who knows?
maybe one day.
Who knows, boy? But we're going to say goodbye to the audience. Kingdom, you got any exiting words?
Yeah, just again, thank you also very much for making this the by far the most special stream we've done, and thank you guys so much in the chat as well for being calm, collected, and asking really good questions. And I say that to the Poole fans,
And
the
being
Oxford
mature.
fans,
And being
everyone
mature.
was mature. We had some
No
Oxford
arsehole.
fans ask Vinny not difficult questions as such, but questions from their perspective. But those questions were well worded, well mannered. So thank you to everyone that's been here. And Vinny, again, just thank you to you, mate, because you've been sensational and you've been so open and so honest. So I can't thank you enough.
Thank you guys for having me. It was really nice just to get my point out over, sort of thing. And like I said, it's big thank you to everyone who's stayed along and listened to me.
Well, don't forget the Pirate Cast, who are our good friends, have an interview with Vinnie Foord regarding the start of his career at Poole. And they also have an episode that came out at 7 o'clock, the same time we went on air. We don't want to piss the Pirate Cast off. We are good friends. So make sure after you finish here, jump on the Pirate Cast and listen to their latest show. Loads of comments coming in saying, thanks, you've been awesome. Great show. Thank you, everybody, so much. We're going to sign off now. But we'll have a quick chat with Vinnie after we go off air. And thank you all so much. And I hope your opinion of if you're a hater of any has changed. And as always, we'll see you guys
in the next one.
Bye-bye.